Bandos has always been one of the harder of the God Wars Dungeon bosses to solo. Your best options were either maging him, which is really bad DPS, or 6-0 with an ACB, which is probably even worse DPS. Gardor does not have 200 mage like the other bosses, so a tbow does not work for soloing here. With the release of the new bow, the BOFA, combined with crystal armor, you can get similar kills per hour to the other God Wars Dungeon bosses with a tbow. At 99 range with max gear, you can easily hit 25 kills per hour, equating to a very solid average of 3.5 mil GP an hour. This is also one of the best methods to unlock the solo Bandos combat achievements in the higher tiers. What are the requirements to do this? I would put 90 ranged as the bare minimum. 99 would be ideal, as it provides a lot of max hits. High prayer level will increase your trip length. I would put 80 as the minimum. High agility level is also very beneficial, meaning you will need less run restoration. This comes close to no staminas at 99 agility. I'd recommend having at least 80 agility. Having an Explorer's Ring 4 allows high alchs and more run energy restoration, so having that is ideal. I would highly recommend getting at least the hard combat diary done so you can use private instances. Bandos is extremely packed, and even if you find a world, you can easily get crashed by teams if you are not in an instance. You'll also obviously need Song the Elves completed in order to even make the crystal equipment, so that's an obvious requirement. Here's the equipment I wear: full crystal armor, bow of Ferdinand, Anguish, Assembler, even if you have a max cape, as it always provides a max hit, Unholy Blessing for Zami protection, as well as Bandos bracers for Bandos protection. I was wearing Pegasian boots. You can optionally wear Devout boots instead for the prayer bonus. The Suffering is a good option to increase defense, and prayer bonus to increase trip length. A Ring of Endurance is a decent option if you do not have a high agility level. It's really unnecessary if you have 99 though. Side note, do not imbue the Bow of Ferdinand under most circumstances, as it takes 2,000 crystal shards. This is the equivalent of 200,000 shots for it to break even, and 20 mil GP in shards, which you are extremely unlikely to hit ever. You're also stuck with this bow that becomes relatively useless once you have obtained a twisted bow later, unless you want to uncharge it. Here's what my inventory looks like. I use a Kodai and an Ancestral Top to blood barrage my HP back between kills. The top is 4% better DPS than an Occult instead on the minions because you need some accuracy. If you don't have the top, you can bring an Occult instead, it's totally fine. Kodai can also be swapped for a Nightmare Staff or even something like a Master Wand. Pipe is for killing minions between kills, and specking for HP. Load that bad boy with Dragon Dart so you get more HP from your specs. You barely use the pipe. That cannon base will come in later, I'll explain that. I bring 3 Anglerfish, 7 Divine Bastion potions, 1 stamina, and 7 restores. Explorer's Ring is for the multitude of rune items Gardor drops, as well as its ability to restore run energy. Imbued Heart is purely for mage defense from the mage minion you will be tanking. This isn't necessary at all, but it does come in handy. Gomel's Hilt is the reward from the hard combat achievements. You can use it to teleport to God Wars. You can switch that for a Trollheim tab if you don't have that unlocked already. I bring the Max Cape for its various benefits: the HP restoration between kills, the run energy restoration between kills, the Holy Wrench effect, and the ability to teleport out. Very obviously it's not needed, but you can bring it if you have one. Finally, you need a rune pouch with Soul, Death, and Blood runes for Blood Barrage. You really don't need the Bones to Peaches tablets, but they might come in handy in a pinch. You can optionally just bring another restore instead for longer trips. Gardor is the fastest KC of the whole God Wars dungeon. It's even faster with BOFA setup. Hop until you find a free world, then run around the main area tagging every goblin you see. Once you have kill count, kill goblins near the door until you get a hammer. You can drop a restore on the inside of the door, pick up that hammer, then go through the door. Then you drop another restore on the other side, then go back, get your restore, then finally go through one last time, dropping the hammer and taking your full supplies. I highly recommend turning on Highlight True Tile in the Tile Indicators plugin. This paints the blue tile I have that lets you tell where your character actually is. Make sure you have Boss Timers plugin on as well, and mark General Gardor in your NPC indicators. This method requires a bit of setup, but it is simpler than it looks. You can import my tile markers into Runelite by copying the pastebin code in the description, and then right-clicking your world map and hitting Import. The orange marker is where we place the cannon base in order to perform red clicks. Each tile is like a checkpoint in Mario Kart. The cycle starts at the green marker between kills, where you will do 2 shots at Gardor, then run to checkpoint 1 and fire again. Go to checkpoint 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5. Each time you're just firing once at Gardor. When you get to checkpoint 6, fire at Gardor, and then click your cannon base. Because you did a red click to path to the cannon, Gardor is stuck in place while you run through him, and you will always safely run straight through him. As soon as your true tile is shown over the 7th checkpoint, fire at him again, then move up to 8 doing the same, and 9 again doing the same. Then loop back to checkpoint 1 and repeat until Gardor is dead. This is a 9 attack cycle, taking 0 hits from Gardor, which is why the method is called 9-0. If you mess up and lose a tick, just move to the next checkpoint and pray melee until Gardor falls back into cycle. This usually takes a couple checkpoints to fix, but it will always fix itself. Depending where you are in the room, if I mess up, I will often immediately run to checkpoint 6 and just run through him again with the cannon, continuing the cycle. Or you can also just run up to checkpoint 9 and wait for him to approach before going to checkpoint 1 to restart the cycle. If you ever need to eat during the fight, eat a piece of food, run to the next checkpoint, and then click Gardor like you were firing your bow. Then immediately move to the next checkpoint to maintain the cycle. The gray tiles I have marked are optional. You can click on these before the checkpoint in order to save a little bit of run energy. Before you enter the room, sip your Bastion, hit your Imbued Heart, and turn on Preserve. Protect from melee and Rigor. The private instance will pull the coins directly from your bank if you have them unlocked. Thanks to a little toaster in my Discord for stopping me from taking coins every time I went here. When you enter the room, fire at Gardor and let him walk a bit closer to you. When he is near, run through him and immediately set your cannon base on the orange tile. You're likely going to take at least 2 hits while you're setting up. Once the cannon is down, run up to checkpoint 9, fire once, wait for Gardor to get a bit closer, and then run over to checkpoint 1 and start the cycle like normal, firing each checkpoint. It's really lenient to go from checkpoint 9 to checkpoint 1, so you almost always are fine. Switch to protect from range when it is safe to do so, as the ranged minion hits you the hardest. After you have killed Gardor, turn your run off, and equip the max cape if you have it, I guess. Then immediately switch to your pipe and dumpster the mage minion with specs and rigor. Try to flick the minions, as this will reduce the amount of blood runes you need to use to get your HP back, and guarantee you get back to 99 HP. The damage is calculated as soon as the animation starts on the minion. This is a really useful skill to learn in general for the Infernal later, and I'd highly recommend getting used to it in a safe environment like God Wars. Stand near the ranged minion, and blood barrage the melee and ranger, flicking both. If you hit 99 HP or have excess food drops, you can just pipe these two down to speed it up and save money on blood runes. Between kills, if you get a restore drop and you can't fit them, make sure you juggle them between kills. We keep run energy off when possible in order to keep run energy high, like in between kills. Owl can pick up any drops you need to, hit the altar for prayer if that's not on cooldown, and then walk to the green start tile with run energy on, ready for the next kill. The cannon needs to be picked up and put back down before 20 minutes, or it will despawn. If you're forced to telly out or your cannon base despawns, you can always get a replacement from a Nolodian later. Trips last as long as you get restore drops for. You're limited by the divine doses to 2.5 hours at a maximum. You usually run out of restores at the hour to 2 hour mark though. Average Bandos trip lasts from 25 to as much as 75 kills. Bandos currently is worth 145k GP, including the minions, that's only on average, according to the wiki. At 25 kills per hour, this brings this method to 3,625,000 GP an hour. I'm going to go ahead and round that down for the time taken for gearing and getting KC. If you're watching this in the future, just take the wiki's value per kill and multiply that by 25 to get the GP an hour. Without uniques, Bandos is only worth 24k a kill, so you really need to get that chestplate and Tassie drop to make money here. How much does crystal gear cost to run? These are created with crystal shards, and they degrade slowly over time. A crystal shard is worth roughly 10k coins if turned into divine potions. The cost of the BOFA fire is roughly 106 GP, which is actually pretty low compared to something like a tent whip, which is 200 GP a swing. It currently costs about 150k GP an hour in order to continuously fire the BOFA. Crystal armor also degrades, but it degrades much slower because its charges are based off when you take damage from a source. So zeros do not waste any charges. Crystal armor depends on what you are fighting for the degradation rate. For example, at Hydra, you basically use no charges as you don't get hit. This is pretty difficult to calculate averages. I would guess it costs roughly 200k GP an hour to use full crystal armor at Bandos. And that's it for the video. Leave a like if you liked it, and or subscribe. Thanks guys.